Hey guys, if you really like this episode, please support our podcast by going to talkmurder.com/join and becoming a Talko Supremo. Dear Professor John, please school us on Joel Rifkin because I find him so interesting. The only reason he got caught is because he forgot to put his license plate back on his truck. He had no previous record, and a cop just happened to pull him over when he had a dead body in the back. Like fuck. All right, Brittany B. Like fuck is right. Rifkin not only confessed to 17 horrific murders, but also infiltrated our popular culture with recognition on this famous TV series.
Sunday morning, rain is falling. Except it's not. It's actually sunny today.
Well, I guess it's Taco Tuesday when you guys are listening to it, but happy Sunday to us in the room.
Yes, it is a brunch-episode.
The hint that you gave us, or that you posted on Facebook, had many a hint, so I picked a Seinfeld cocktail.
I fucking love Seinfeld. I do. I did not like it when I was younger. I don't think I was old enough to understand, but I could binge that.
I have not seen like a ton of Seinfeld episodes. And tonight we are drinking Barry Seinfeld's, which is Nipatati gin, lemon juice, some muddled berries, and raspberry liqueur topped with some seltzer.
Oh, what the hell?
What?
So Alan says, this is an incredibly well-written hint. I have absolutely no fucking clue as to the answer, but I felt compelled to point out your good work, Jen. I wrote the hint, dude.
Thank you, Alan.
Perhaps Alan is dyslexic, as like the hint says, and he meant to put John. It's a good drink.
So what I wrote...
A little like cough syrup, but that's okay.
No, I think it's good. But you know what I think makes it is the Nipatati.
It does.
Nipatati.
This episode is brought to you by
Nipatati gin.
Nipple titties.
I do have to say, like, every time I tell someone, I was like, oh my gosh, so we have this sponsor, Nipatati gin. They're like, what? I'm like, Nipatati. They're like, what? And I have to, like, say it really slow because they think I'm saying nipple titty or something.
It sounds dirty, but it goes so well with our podcast for that reason alone.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's also freaking delicious.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with vodka.
Yes. We went to go see the distillery and hang out for a little bit with Traxler, who's the owner, a couple weeks ago. And we got to taste the vodka.
Oh,
and
so good.
But he made two different, like the same cocktail, but one with his gin and one with his vodka.
Yeah, it was like a Cape Codder.
Oh, they were so good and just very distinct flavors.
Yes. Also, big shout out to Abby for being super supportive on the new podcast Quackery, done by one of our Talco Supremos, Will, Dr. Will. She's
Dr. Will. You should use that more often, though. I know, but Dr. Will sounds like Dr. Phil.
Yeah, oh my God, did you guys see those pictures of his house? His house is up for sale for like $5.75 million. And the inside, I didn't see all of the pictures, but the inside design is just, it's very strange. There's like machine guns lining the wall in one room, and it's just like very strange. So you could check that out somewhere, I'm sure. I don't have a link to it per se, but maybe I'll put one up there.
So the hint that I posted was, good morning, y'all. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here in Charleston, South Carolina. The birds are chirping. The neighbor's outside fixing his truck. And that was one of the hints. I just hope he doesn't forget the license plate. That was another hint. And the TM2M crew are about to head to the studio and record a fascinating killer episode. Of course, I would rather be sitting on my mother's couch. That's another hint. Watching Seinfeld. That's another hint. But I know it's best not to procrastinate. Anyways, take a guess in the comments of WWGWWK, but I misspelled it because I'm a tad dyslexic.
I'm not dyslexic, but I think I have dyscalculia. A little bit. Not enough to be...
You have what?
Dyscalculia. It's the math version of dyslexia.
No, that's not a thing.
Yes, it is.
Did you know calculus is like a dentist term? The lady when I was got my teeth cleaned, she was like, "You got some calculus up there." I'm like, okay. I was on meds too.
Yeah, I think no, but dyscalculia is a real it's a real disorder where you mix up the order of numbers, and that happens to me all the time. But I don't obviously have not been diagnosed with it, but I think I have a tad bit of it.
Nicole, where are we going and who are we killing?
Okay, so I think that this takes place in New York in the 1980s, and the killer has some sort of weird relationship with his mom, a la Ed Kemper, and he has a learning disability, dyslexia, and he kills a few women and some sort of relation to his mom, and he gets caught from a routine traffic stop because he was missing a license plate.
I think that we're also going to New York because of the Seinfeld, but I think someone's mom kills their kid because they do not achieve their goals like they should due to a learning disorder, which they also procrastinate a lot. And so I think the mother kills their kid.
All right, guys, big shout out today to Rebecca for actually guessing. So tonight's surprise shot is dedicated to you, Rebecca, and also Lauren for her Ass Man comment.
That was a great episode.
Man.
Yeah.
It was a great episode.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. So congratulations, guys, Lauren and Rebecca. Tonight's surprise shot is dedicated to you.
And thank you.
Oh, and then Nicole's mom says, wish you were sitting on my couch with a heart on it.
Aww. Thanks, Renee. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
Is it just me, or is this shot slightly pink?
I think it's actually more of a coral.
It's because y'all don't wash the shot glasses.
No, we wash them.
It's actually orange. It's not pink. It is orange, just to be clear.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yum. That was good. That was good. I liked that.
It was better after I swallowed it. Like
That's what she
it
said.
had a better aftertaste.
That's what she said.
It was great until I realized that we're taking shots on a Sunday morning.
Was it a Kettle One?
It was not.
One of their fancy ones?
It was not.
Okay.
It was, however, not one vodka, but two. Now, as you guys know, in December, we had our surprise shots of Christmas, and I've run low on the rest of them, so I only had one of each little thing. So the main shot was Western Sun Peach Vodka.
Oh.
But I ran out of it, enough of all of it, so I topped it off with some Grey Goose.
We're starting today's episode off with this pretty lady right here.
She has brown hair, big eyes, pretty young woman, probably in her 20s, I would say.
Okay, we're going to June 1993 in the Big Apple.
All right, we all got New York, right?
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Why is New York the Big Apple again? I feel like I learned that when I was younger, but I don't remember.
That's where Eve took a bite of that apple that doomed all the men to hell for the rest of our lives because she couldn't follow simple orders and not eat from the sacred tree. And she had all this other food, but she took an apple even though she wasn't supposed to. So she is the reason that evil exists in the world.
That bitch.
All right, I'll buy it.
We're going to June 1993. We're going to the Big Apple. We're talking about Tiffany Bresciani. June 1993. Now, this is about 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And in fact, I'm taking you guys to the parking lot of the New York Post.
Oh. Okay.
So for some reason, I put in my notes that she has big hooters. I don't know why I put that on there. I guess I read that in the book. But she also had a sexy blouse that outlined her bosom.
Oh, so it's the woman's fault because of what she was wearing that she was sexually
but she was actually
assaulted?
in a car.
Mm-hmm.
She was a prostitute.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah, I should get that out of the way. But she did have a rose tattoo on her wrist. Now, this is from the Daily News, July 4th, 1993. It says, the subheadline says, a beautiful girl. Quote, she was a beautiful girl, said her mother. She was personable, good-hearted, generous, friendly, and very close to her brothers. Most of the women in the story came from good homes, okay? But during this time, obviously, we're coming out of the crack epidemic. So a lot of people are addicted to crack. That was like during the 80s and stuff like that. So a lot of these women are addicted to crack, so they're prostituting their bodies to pay for that addiction. So usually, and even now, I imagine, I never got a prostitute, but a blowjob would be like the cost of like a couple hits of heroin or crack. So it's like the market forces, like the equilibrium of a blowjob compared to a hit of crack kind of thing.
Yep.
So that is the same as in this story right here. Now, she's actually in the New York Post parking lot. It's very late, 4:35 a.m. in the morning. Parking lot is completely empty.
It's 5 o'clock on a Saturday.
So they're in this car and they're about to, get it on. And something that literally you can't make up, which is why Nicole is going to read, because if she didn't read it from the book, you guys wouldn't believe me. But here, just go ahead and read this, Nicole.
She was scrunched down and I was taking my pants off or whatever. I'm just about to start and a van parks next to us and a guy gets out and walks behind the car. I thought he walked off, so I grabbed the neck, strangle her, She's struggling a little bit. We're doing whatever in the backseat of the car, and I look up just after she passes out. And the guy is standing 3 feet from the car doing Tai Chi. He's facing the water, watching the sunrise, doing a praying mantis position, and all this other crazy stuff.
Right, because that's the crazy stuff that's happening outside of the car. So, not, the fact that he just strangled a prostitute.
He just has sex with his prostitute, and he's strangling her, and at the same time, this guy is like 5 feet away doing Tai Chi.
Finding his zen,
The fuck? The reason I started with that is because that is the sentiment of the story.
Do you guys remember Tybo? Yeah.
Shanti!
No, not Shanti. It wasn't Shanti. It wasn't Shanti's the insanity guy.
Yeah, I love Shanti.
It wasn't Shanti.
Did you know Shanti is gay?
No.
Yeah, Shanti is gay.
Oh, good for him.
I love him.
Not only is the prostitute dead, and this guy's doing Tai Chi, or Taibo, or whatever the fuck, he is also in his mother's Toyota sedan. So he's driving his mom's car.
To go get a prostitute.
This story is literally...
No, the Tai Chi guy.
No, how does he know the Tai Chi guy
the Tai Chi guy
has his mom's car?
No, the Tai Chi guy is not in the mom's car.
Yeah, I know. That's what Jen said.
Oh.
The Tai Chi guy is just a little part of the story. He's gone now.
I was like, how did we know
So
that?
he just pulls into a parking lot, does Tai Chi while this girl's getting strangled and raped.
Yes.
And then leaves?
Yeah.
Well, the Tai Chi guy doesn't see what's happening.
Oh, he has two Zen. Do you know that I think Tai Bo is a mix between Tai Chi and boxing. I think that's why it's called Tai Bo.
The point of this whole
No, the point is there was a guy doing Tai Chi.
The murderer is telling this part of the story, and he is half strangling this girl, half watching some Asian. I don't know. Did he say
that's fucking racist.
We don't know he's Asian. White people do Tai Chi too.
Some guy
Did it
doing
say
Tai Chi.
it was Asian in the book? Wow. Did he hit like a speed bump coming in because he can't drive? And if you check his finances, was he really good at math? You want to go down that road?
No, he had dyscalculia.
So not only is a prostitute strangled, but he's also in the mother's Toyota sedan, okay, which is fucked up.
Yes, he's using his mother's car to pick up prostitutes.
Yeah. Now, it's around 7 a.m. when he leaves. He gets on the Long Island Expressway, which I have no idea what that is.
It's a highway that takes you from New York City to Long Island.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Now, he finally gets back to the neighborhood. This is 7:38 a.m. in the morning. He strangles a prostitute. She's naked in the back seat of his mother's sedan. He drives back to his neighborhood, which is about 30 minutes away, and he's driving around his neighborhood. Now, this is going to show you this is the best scenario to show you his personality. Instead of going straight home, he drives around because earlier he spotted this nice little window pane. You know how people throw stuff on the side of the road for the garbage to take?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, I want to get that because I want to build a greenhouse. So with this dead, naked prostitute in the back of his car, he stops and hauls this big window pane in the car. before going home.
Hey, if it's for free, it's for me.
He's fucking dumpster diving while he needs to go dispose of a body.
He goes back inside. Now, he lives with his mom. So he goes to the kitchen and he says, quote, he tells this to his mom, "I went through the kitchen telling my mother on the way out, I got something I got to do real quick. I'll be back in a minute, yada, yada, yada."
Gotta dispose of a body, BRB.
He then goes to Kmart, and keep in mind the entire time this prostitute is in the back seat of the car, and it is literally 9 a.m. Like, people are lining up in the Chick-fil-A parking lot, and there's a lot of people out. This is like a weekday, everyone's working.
Can I just say, I'm so sorry. I know you're going to cut this anyway, but I'm going to tell you. So on my way to work, there's a Chick-fil-A, and it was closed for a couple months because they remodeled it. And then on the first day of the grand opening, it was literally before 7 o'clock in the morning. It was like 6:30. And the line was all the way from the drive-thru out of the plaza.
Wow.
Like, it was like, it's ridiculous. I don't understand.
That's because people think Chick-fil-A is healthy for some reason.
But it is the best fast food.
Yeah, but it's still fucking fast food.
But it's like,
yeah.
it's not even 7 o'clock, and these people were like causing
They gotta
traffic
get their-
issues because they had to get their Chick-fil-A.
Gotta get their chicken
I don't
minis.
get it. I don't.
Chick-fil-A is
I
great.
love
Minis.
Chick-fil-A.
I wish it was open right now.
So he gets back in his mom's Toyota, drives to Kmart. He gets a tarp, that's smart.
A blue tarp
A blue tarp. He gets a
or a green
red tarp.
They don't have red tarps. They're either blue or green.
Okay.
Or
He
gray.
gets a tarp, and not only that, he gets some antifreeze
Oh, good.
and some oil because he's going to work on his truck later.
Oh, the antifreeze has nothing to do. Well, he already killed
Well,
the
I mean,
prostitute.
like, you could put a tarp down while you're doing an oil change so you don't make a mess.
Then he gets back in his car. Now, the prostitute's still in the back seat. He drives to another parking lot. Now, this is 9 a.m. in the morning. He rolls the prostitute up in the tarp and manhandles her into the trunk. Now, this is in a parking lot of a business. Like, everyone's around.
It's not a quiet time of day.
Yes.
It's kind of like Katie Genovese. They see him, but they don't say anything.
He goes back home, and his mom's like, "I need the car, honey boo. I got to go. My quilting friends, they want me to look at some fabrics, and, I got to do some stitching and all this stuff." So before he gets a chance to remove the prostitute out of the trunk of the mother's car, she takes it for a few hours doing errands, completely oblivious that there's a corpse in the back of her car.
She didn't take a peek under the tarp?
It's in the trunk.
She didn't open the trunk?
No, she doesn't open the trunk. Why would...
If
do
you
you
go to
ever open your trunk unless
Yeah,
you really
Yes.
need to?
If I'm shopping.
Yeah, grocery shopping, you put your groceries in the trunk.
Well, she didn't.
Especially,
All right.
I mean, I didn't use my trunk when I had my old car that much, but now I do because I just have to press a button and it opens.
See, I don't really use my trunk, but my parents do. I mean, my car is full of shit, so
Yeah. Okay, so the mother gets home and he's like relieved. He's like, "Oh my God, thank God. I thought that was going to be the end of me." So he then transfers the tarp with the prostitute into the garage. Okay, now it's June and it's freaking hot. It's like one of the hottest summers ever.
no, that body's gonna start to smell.
So
Oh,
in
yeah.
a garage with no ventilation,
Oh, no.
yeah, the smell is awful.
Oh, no.
But instead of going to dump the body, because he has 2 trucks that he owns, one of them works just fine. It's completely fine. Now, the killer here has 2 trucks. One of the trucks doesn't work, and that's why he bought, some of the stuff, the oil. He's going to change the oil and the antifreeze. And the other truck works just fine. So, in theory, he could easily put the body in the other truck and drive to any numerous dump sites, because this is not his first kill. He knows exactly where to hide a body.
Oh.
But instead, he leaves the body in the garage and decides to do an engine change, which lasts about 4 days from one truck to the next. Priority.
What?
Yeah, he was.
Why?
I don't fucking know.
That seems like a waste of time and resources, but okay.
Okay, so instead of putting the body in a dump site, he decides to work on his truck for 4 days with the body still in the garage.
In June, where it's, I'm sure.
Like, how could you work in that type of environment?
Well, you said this isn't his first kill, so is he just really familiar with the stank of Bodies.
I don't care how familiar you are with the smell. That doesn't mean you can tolerate it.
True.
Just because I know what the paper mill smells like every morning doesn't mean I look forward to driving past it on
Yeah.
526.
True that.
This is a quote from the killer.
Now, I'm focusing on this truck project, he said. And for the next 3.5 days, that is what I focused on. Just left her in the garage.
Now, when the detectives finally found the body, there was intense damage to her vulva area.
Ooh.
Jen, you drive a Volvo, don't you?
Sometimes.
All right, now let's go to June 28th. This is 4 days later. His truck is finally fixed. And let me show you a picture of his gorgeous truck.
Wow.
Wait, is that the one that he just like fixed?
Yeah,
and put
this
a
is the
new
one he
engine in?
fixed.
Beautiful.
You
piece
see
of
that
machinery.
tarp in the back?
Yeah, it's a blue one.
It's a blue tarp. Guess what's in that truck?
A dead body.
It's also important to know that he has a bumper sticker on that truck that says, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but whips and chains excite me."
Oh my God, that's Rihanna. there.
Rihanna, yeah.
What?
That's a
That's in
Rihanna
her
lyric.
song.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
from S&M.
Oh, shit. I guess she stole it from this serial killer.
I mean, it must have been popular from something else.
Sandstones may break my bones, but chains and whips excite me.
Na,
Just
na,
whip
na,
and
na,
chain.
come on.
Come on. I like it. Come on.
Fast forward to June 28th, 1993, about 4 days later. As you see the truck right there, the body is in the truck. You see they tried to blur it out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, this is
I
about
can't,
3 a.m. in the
But I
morning.
can imagine.
This is about 3 a.m. in the morning. He is driving without a license plate.
And he gets stopped by the popo.
So we've been watching a lot of live PD.
Yeah, he gets stopped by the popo in a routine traffic stop. That's what I said.
It's 3 a.m. The driver, who I'm going to tell you who it is in a minute, actually put Noxzema on his nose to deal with the
Oh my God.
corpse smell, which one investigator said that before he even got to the crime scene, a half a mile before he got to the crime scene, he could smell the corpse.
Ew.
Okay, which was now
Ew.
4 days old from rotting in
In
the
the
basement.
heat. In the heat of June.
So he was pulled over and he cooperated and everything was fine, right?
Until.
False.
What happened?
Until they decided.
He runs.
They saw something. They decided to search his vehicle.
He left the parkway at exit 28 South, Wantagh Avenue, negotiating a sharp, horseshoe-shaped turn at an excessive rate of speed. He then bore through a stop sign, ignored a no left turn sign, and gunned the motor. The troopers, meanwhile, radioed for assistance, and before long were joined by several other state police units, as well as mobile units from Nassau County Police Department.
Oh, Nassau County. I know where that is. It's on Long Island.
All right, 90 miles an hour. I mean, basically, he has nothing to lose. So he's like, fuck it. Now, the
Yeah.
body, as you see from the picture here, go to talkmurder.com, is actually hitting both sides of the bed of the
Oh,
truck,
no.
like boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Sad.
the head didn't pop off. Now, 90 miles an hour, he's in a rural, what?
On Long Island.
On Long Island. It's a rural chase. He misses an intersection and collides into a telephone pole right in front of the county courthouse.
Oh, shit.
The end.
And he gets out and says, "What's the problem, officer?"
Let me get my spectacles.
Okay, who are we talking about? You guys already know.
No.
Tonight we're reading from the book, his great book from Robert Mladinich. He was a friend, a one-time friend of the killer here. The book is called From the Mouth of the Monster, the Joel Rifkin story.
Ooh.
This story is for our Tacos Primo, Brittany B.
Oh,
Hey, Brittany. P.S. We need your shirt
Yeah,
size,
reply
girl.
to my email.
Yeah, we need your shirt size. Brittany is a plus-size model and on
And an
Instagram.
artist, I think.
And an artist. So please go follow her.
Well, follow us, too. Speaking of following us on Instagram, we are doing a drawing for whoever is our 666th follower on Instagram. Our Instagram's a little bit behind our Facebook, and right now we're at just about 600. So we're not very far away, and we're also going to do a giveaway for our 1,000th Facebook like, which we're also very close to.
So for our Instagram, the 666, we're actually going to write you certificates for all of our souls.
I mean, you guys can.
Her Instagram is Brittany Burham, BrittanyBurraham. And so you can just follow her right on her social page. But she is awesome. Very talented.
Very talented, and she requests a story. And it's a great one. All right, anyway, so this is for you, Brittany B.
I'm trying to picture, can you give me a sense of
what he looks like?
Of this guy? Because I'm picturing, because we're in the South, kind of like a redneck type person, especially with the truck, but like perhaps he's
Italian.
Yeah.
I think it's Italian.
Like a Guido.
So
Rifkin is not an Italian name. Maybe it's a Jewish name. Is that the Jewish name? Or is it a Polish name?
This is Joel Rifkin right here. This is when
Polish.
he was a nerd in high school
But
and
it's not
stuff.
Polish last name.
You see
I don't
him?
know what kind of last name that is.
Now, Joel Rifkin was, if you watch the Ass Man episode on Seinfeld, that was not Joel Rifkin, but it was a character playing Joel Rifkin.
Oh.
And I don't actually remember that episode, even though I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. I don't actually remember.
Did you find a clip of the episode? You
Yeah,
wanna
here's
find
a
one?
clip right now. Beep.
I just want you to know that I was more than willing to stick it out with Joel Rifkin.
Sure. Okay, you got your list?
Yeah. 10 names.
Right.
Okay. And if somebody objects, you can just veto it.
Okay.
Okay. You start. What's your first choice?
Stuart.
No, second choice.
Stuart's no good?
I have never met a normal guy named Stuart.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay. Ned?
What is wrong with Ned?
Ned's a guy who
So that's supposed to be
buys
Joel
irregular
Rifkin.
underwear.
I don't know.
Next!
Someone who shares his name.
Yeah.
And he wants to change his name
Ellis.
so he's not associated with him.
Ellis? You might as well go with Alex. It's the same thing.
Alice and Alex aren't even close.
Next!
What's the point?
No, come on!
Okay. Remy.
Remy, Rifkin. Should I get a beret?
Stuart's a lot better. Little Stuart Rifkin likes to go shopping with his mother.
Got it. So it's someone who shares his name.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, so a little bit from the Big Book of Serial Killers by Jack Rosewood.
A great gift from friend Abby.
Yes, thank you so much, Abby. Date of birth, January 20th, 1959. The nickname for him is Joel the Ripper, which we'll get into.
Oh.
Characteristics, dismemberment.
I feel like you're about to read a dating profile. Likes, dismemberment.
Yeah.
Joking. Blue tarps.
Murder method.
And
looking for-
fixing up cars.
If you're looking for a great guy who's great with his hands and is a real mama's boy, come on out for a date. We'll do some Tai Chi and maybe take a walk along the Long Island Expressway. But don't worry if things get rough and tumble when you're rolling around the back seat of my truck for a little bit.
A little bit of trivia. He tested at an IQ of 128, and in early 1994, it was reported that Rifkin had engaged in a jailhouse scuffle with mass murderer Colin Ferguson. The brawl began when Ferguson asked Rifkin to be quiet while Ferguson was using the telephone. The New York Daily News reported the fight escalated after Ferguson told Rifkin, quote, "I wiped out 6 devils and you only killed women." To which Rifkin responded, quote, "Yeah, but I had more victims." Ferguson then punched Rifkin in the mouth.
Yikes.
All
Wow,
right.
that sounds like an all-out brawl.
So Rifkin was adopted, and in fact, a little trivia here. In the trial, one of the attorneys for Rifkin actually brought up the adoption defense, where since his biological parents were unknown, it was possible that the adoption, he may have had some mental genetic illnesses and stuff like that.
Since you don't really know what his genetic profile looks like.
Yeah, and the judge refused to get the biological parents involved as well. So they actually didn't know.
That it does make an argument that being a killer is somehow genetic.
Yeah, nature versus nurture.
I don't know if that is necessarily true.
I agree with you, but like you can't. What they're saying is that you don't know for sure unless it was an open adoption, which it sounds like it was a closed adoption.
Yeah, but you can't make that argument with any killer, even if they're not adopted.
It was a closed adoption because he was adopted by a Jewish adoption service. Just throwing that in there.
But you can't make that argument on DNA with any.
No, you're right. You're right.
Killer. So I feel like that just has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Well, it
was a Hail Mary defense type of strategy.
Very Hail Mary.
Right, but I mean, I'm not saying that
you could have a mental disorder.
That's what I'm saying. Like if he was prone to a mental disorder, which would make him less competent to stand trial or be held accountable for his crimes.
But they also know he had an IQ of 130, which is pretty high IQ.
Can we get on with the damn story?
I'm just
talking. He was adopted, but he grew up in a normal, extremely liberal two-person household. The father was actually a structural engineer.
Joel always wanted to please my husband, but could never find a way to do it, said Jeanne. I thought of him as a loner. It didn't fully come home to me what was happening until later. Joel would sit on a curb to play ball with the other kids, but they wouldn't let him play. He would then retreat upstairs and watch out the window.
Another fact that's going to come into play, Joel also had dyslexia.
So he was twice exceptional for my educators out there who know what that means.
And this is actually from one of our Tacos Primos because I had asked on the forum if anyone has dyslexia and would like to share their experience. So this is Rhiannon, and this is what she had said.
This is from Rhiannon. I was diagnosed in elementary school. I was constantly mixing up numbers and letters. I was in a special class for a little while where I could take longer on my tests and practice and do homework. Mainly, my dyslexia affects me with numbers and letters with words. For example, I will read a sentence completely backwards. The words will be in different orders. As far as numbers go, that's the hardest for me. Reading numbers and saying numbers. My brain just literally sees them another way. As a nurse, that's very, very difficult because it's dangerous for wrong doses. For me, I have to write it out and make sure that what I wrote out matches what I'm trying to type in, or order over the phone for a prescription. When I get stressed, it's even worse, so I have to make sure to calm down and take a minute. There's no medication for it, and the worst part is usually when you're in a stressful situation is when you need to be able to do things as quickly as possible. But stress makes dyslexia worse, so I've had to learn how to kind of slow down and breathe.
I think Steve Jobs had dyslexia.
Oh, wow.
The mother was a college art teacher, and she was very talented, and Joel actually got his talent from that. Joel was actually a very talented photographer. The family household was not like you think, like, he was getting abused and beat. It was actually very loving. They were a very loving couple, and they, treated Joel with a lot of respect. It was a really normal household besides the adoption thing. Now, Joel would spend a lot of time in the mother's darkroom developing photos. He was born on January 20th, 1959, as I said. He was adopted by a Jewish adoption service. His parents were close to 40 when they adopted him. Before Joel started kindergarten, they moved to Long Island, and this was a traumatic move for him. And in fact, multiple times in the book, when they quote him, it's usually either before the move and after the move.
I'm wondering how it was traumatic for him since it was before kindergarten. Like, you usually don't start forming long-term memories.
Well, he had memories at like 4. I think his first memory is like at 4.
Interesting. I wonder if that's because of his IQ.
I don't know, but he said he remembered everything when he was a kid. And even though he had disabilities as a child. But as far as before the move and after the move goes, after the move is when he moved to Long Island, and he was constantly bullied, as a lot of serial killers are. He did have disabilities as a child. He was undiagnosed with dyslexia. In fact, he didn't even get diagnosed until he was in his 20s. He stuttered when he spoke, which, increased the chances of him getting bullied, which were often. He had attention deficit disorder, and he couldn't concentrate while having a conversation with anyone. And that actually goes into play as well when he got arrested. I remember reading when he was in the jail cell, he would have a conversation with a guard or somebody like a psychiatrist. And once the conversation kind of took a break, he would stare at this one little crack in the wall, and he was transfixed by this crack, and he could not tear his eyes away from it. So he was very disoriented in the head. I mean, you saw that too. Basically, he has to hide a body, and instead he's going to go fix a truck for 4 days. I mean, there's something not right there.
Yeah, that's definitely strange.
He
You would
has
think that the hiding a body, disposing of it, would be the number one thing you have to go do.
Yeah.
Right.
He had a normal or a little bit of over IQ, but most people first meeting him would think that he was mentally retarded.
I wonder if it was a coping mechanism, though, if he was just in denial. Because you can, because he knew that he had to get rid of the body, but maybe he was denying that, and that's why he was transfixed on getting the truck done.
It's a very interesting theory, yeah.
This is from the Daily News, Sunday, July 4th, 1993.
My friend Jeff and I used to play catch with him, bounce him off the lockers, the order of life. Jocks, class A's, freaks, burnouts. Joel was on the bottom. He was an abuse unit. Yikes.
Now, as I said, he grew up in a loving home with a loving dad, too. He was a structural engineer, and he was constantly getting promoted, and life was ordinary and pretty good besides the bullying. But he sucked at sports, and this is a big thing because his father was an athlete, and it was almost like he was ashamed of his son, but he wouldn't badger him about it. It was just disappointed. Yeah, and he could tell.
That's kind of interesting, though. I know things were different back in the day, but you think someone, in order to be a structural engineer, he must have had a high IQ as well. So instead of embracing, and I, like I said, it's a totally different time, but instead of embracing his son's high IQ and lack of athletics and trying to get him involved in that kind of environment, like the STEM environment, which it's obviously different than today, but he was kind of upset that he wasn't athletic.
Yeah. And it could have just been that he wasn't like his dad. He didn't see as many commonalities, which I'm sure was exacerbated by the fact he was adopted. The happiest period of my life keeps going back to Rockland County, he explained. The beginning of my conscious memory, when I was 4, we had a very open backyard, maybe a half acre, surrounded by woods on both sides, across the street and behind us. So I had my frogs to play with, my tadpoles, and newts. Whatever crawled in the woods, that was my toy. That was before bullies, really started getting abusive. So that was a great time.
So he started getting these thoughts at a young age, deviant, kind of sadistic thoughts.
Did he ever torture those animals?
I never saw where he tortured animals. No, I don't think he fits on that McDonald triad or whatever. But he did start getting some deviant thoughts, and the book kind of claims that he was a sadist. Or, excuse me, the prosecutor actually claimed that he was a sadist, and I don't really see that.
Well, his bumper sticker said quite a lot.
Yeah, but I don't see him as a sadist, really. And you'll see once we get into some of the murders.
Like the last dude that we did.
Oh, yeah, not like... and then I ejaculated.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Holy shit. So this is one of the thoughts he had when he was a kid. This is from the book.
There was some bondage, there was some rape, said Joel. There was a gladiator type thing with 2 girls that would fight each other until the death. He admits they often harmed women in the fantasies, but there was always no screaming. They were just passive about it.
Before we go any further, I'm going to jump into some more of the murders, and then we're going to jump back and dive deep into his psychology, and then we're going to talk about some more murders, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the MO, and then we're going to end with the trial and stuff like that. So kind of want to jump around a little bit in the story. Hope you guys don't mind.
No? I like this one.
The thing about Joel, as you'll see, is he never finished anything in his life. And his father, a structural engineer, was constantly getting promoted and, doing all these great things. And his mother was a very successful painter. And they were just making leaps and bounds. And Joel would start something and then not finish it. And that's very apparent. Think about the garage. He started something. He killed that prostitute, but he couldn't even finish it right. You know what I'm saying? it's like it's not really a procrastination thing. I mean, it is, but it's more of like he starts something and then he doesn't follow through, and that was basically his life. And a lot about this book kind of drove me crazy. Reading and listening to some of the interviews on YouTube and stuff like that, he would always blame his life on his problems, his dyslexia, his adoption, all this stuff. He would blame. And in fact, he blamed a lot of the victims too. Like, I mean, 99% of the victims we're going to talk about were prostitutes. So he would blame them for their work, for their job, for being crack addicts and stuff like that. So it's a lot of blame. And the good thing about this book that I'm reading now, and I definitely recommend it, if you're a true crime aficionado, you definitely need to have this on your bookshelf at least. But it's written by a guy who became an investigator, and at one point in his life, he was a cameraman, a photographer, and Joel Rifkin was a very talented photographer, and they had actually worked together. This was about 20 years before he got in prison and all that, so he knew him as a child, but they would take photos. I'm showing you now like a boxing. That's a photo that Joel Rifkin took of a boxing bout. I guess boxing is huge in New York. It's not huge down here. So he would take these incredible photos, and he would paint too. This is some of the pictures. It's kind of black and white, but he was a very talented painter. But so the investigator that wrote this book actually could not shake the fact that, why him and not me, because he was comparing his own life. Well, I grew up in a normal life, a normal childhood with normal friends, all this stuff. I was bullied. I became a photographer. So kind of why Joel and not me? And he was trying to figure that out. And the whole book is basically him figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? And it's a really good book. It's really good. But anyway, so the father actually gets terminally ill, and he actually makes Joel a bet before he dies. And the bet was because Joel had tried college multiple times. He bet his son that he couldn't go back to college and pass the first semester. And if he can, he'll pay for the second semester full out. He was like, Joel, if you go back to college and you complete the first semester, I'll pay for the second and maybe even more. Now, you can't go back for art or photography or something that you're just going to pass anyway. You got to go back for something that you have never learned before, and that's going to be difficult. So this has got to be a challenge. So he decided to go back for biology, which is going to come up again as far as dissections. But anyway, he actually struggled before the final exam, and 3 days before the final exam to pass that semester, his dad overdosed himself on barbiturates. Ooh. And he thought, and it's probably true, that it was so he doesn't have to see another one of Joel's letdowns of not passing. And in fact, when his father was on the deathbed, Joel came up to him and said, "Hey, Dad, I don't know if you can hear me." He was in a coma. He was terminally ill, so he basically took barbiturates until he went into a coma. And Joel said, "I don't know if you can hear me in there, Dad, but I got a 90, on my final exam, and I passed the semester." And then right after that, the father died. Wow. And then literally about 2 years later, after the grieving process, because like I said, the father and mother were very supportive of him. Right. He grieved, and then that's when the killing started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good for him for passing, though. I mean,
what the fuck?
I'm just saying, but biology's hard, and I probably, if I was, one of the easiest ways to get me to do something is to tell me that you can't do it. So I understand that, motivation there.
Jen, you can't have a clean car. You can't have a clean car.
You're right. Because every time I clean it out, like every couple of weeks, and then it looks like I live out of my car. But like I said, it's a defense mechanism because no one's going to rob my car.
Here's the resolution. 1 year, no beer. That's trending on like.
There's like a program about that.
Yeah.
I was like, it shows up on an ad for me now. I'm
know.
like, oh my God, they think I'm an
fuck
alcoholic.
this asshole. He like lost like 50 pounds. I'm like, fuck this asshole.
You know,
We will continue to drink.
Yeah,
sir.
you start a fucking podcast and try to do 1 year no beer.
yeah,
Fuck you.
I mean, like,
Impossible.
Especially a murder podcast.
if we weren't, well, not even that. Like, but if we didn't do our live shows at breweries, I would take you up on that bet.
Also, yeah.
So you
True.
can't, you know.
Well, that means liquor too,
It
Jen.
wouldn't be fair. No, you said 1 year no beer. You didn't say anything about liquor.
Just before the midterm exam, Ben took a lethal combination of barbiturates, fell into a coma, and died 3 days later. Joel still blames himself for his father's desperate action. I don't know if he thought I was going to fail, and he didn't want to face another failure because the timing was so close, said Joel. Maybe I drove him to an early suicide because he didn't want to see me fail again.
Oh, no.
But at the same time, I was incredibly angry at the timing. That was my shot.
After his dad passed away, he found something that really changed his life. Not for the better, but just changed his life. Do y'all guys want to take a guess what that is? Very good. It's having sex with prostitutes.
I'm sure it was a life-changing experience for him. Had he had sex prior to the prostitutes, or was that his first sexual experience?
Yes, it was. In fact, he was going to college as a virgin the first time he went to college and failed
that's
out.
not
Yeah,
abnormal.
there's nothing wrong with that.
To go
You
get
can
a
graduate
prostitute?
from college and still be a virgin. You could be 28 and still be a virgin.
I know, Jen. I'm saying like he was going to college and he didn't want to be inexperienced, so he got a prostitute, and that happens to a lot of us. You know, go back to when I was 19. But anyway, it says he. Before he started killing, he fell in love with prostitutes. Now, the prostitutes in New York at the time, and the way the book was saying it is there's different streets, right? So it reminds me of Wolf on Wall Street, where you got the blue sheets and the pink sheets. You know,
Yeah.
the blue sheets are like the Walt Disney Corporation. Blue chip. The blue chip is like the Walt Disney and like really expensive stocks. So they're like really
Proven,
high class
yeah.
prostitutes. And then the pink sheets are like the weed stocks where they're really low class prostitutes.
Penny stocks.
Penny stocks. Yeah. So anyway.
You should probably start investing in marijuana.
Okay, now we gotta
yes,
go,
we
guys.
are.
We gotta go. So he actually found prostitutes, and the thing about it is Joel was kind of a pushover, so a lot of these prostitutes were conning him all the time. So basically they would do this boyfriend routine where they would go to a hotel, she would start undressing, and then before they actually had coitus, this guy, a pimp or whatever, would kick down the hotel door and say, "What are you doing? I told you not to do this ever again," pretending to be the boyfriend. And this is after she took the money. So he would get conned over and over and over and over and over. And he would be picking up prostitutes like 3-4 times a night, spending all his money. Also, there was a cop routine that they used to pull too. If you want to read this, Nicole.
Said he has a lot of endurance, like 3 to 4 times a night. That's
Impressive. There was another girl on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, he continued. Most of the girls have a favorite spot where they feel safe. So she's directing me to this grocery store parking lot. We pull in, drive up to the wall. Now the front of the car is facing the wall. This car pulls behind me. 2 guys get out and they do a cop routine. I never saw any badges, but they're claiming they're cops and they're claiming she says you stole $50 from her. I only got $30 on me, so I gave them $30 and drove off. And I pulled the other $30 I had underneath the seat and went back to the stroll and picked someone else up. There's all kind of cons. It was amazing.
Okay, so with the prostitutes, there was no emotion involved because he tried to have serious girlfriends and they never worked out. And with the prostitutes, he actually used the analogy, the prostitutes were like an assembly line.
Oh my God.
yeah. You ever seen that video of like the assembly line of people like with the dildos, like the dildo factory?
And they're trying them out.
No.
Oh, this one's too big.
What?
No.
What?
No.
This one goes in my mouth, but not in my butthole very easily.
I wonder what it would be like to be a quality control person.
Dildo.
Oh my gosh, I think that's what I said about, remember that Japanese machine?
This one's too
I wonder
ribbed.
what QA was like for that thing.
This one's too ribbed. Like, the ripples on it.
I
The veins. This one's too veiny, Jen.
No, ew, gross. I literally cannot
Did you know
even
they
imagine.
make
I don't want to
dildos
imagine.
out of your favorite porn star?
Yeah, they do fleshlights like that too.
Ew.
They're
They also-
ribbed.
But they also do molds. You can do
yeah,
your
they
own
do
mold.
mold.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
they
but
do
like you can do your own mold if you want.
Oh.
So I feel like that was a really bad story to tell you guys because, I mean, like, there's this running joke that you guys are going to get me a dildo, and I do not want a
it's going to
mold
be
of-
the size of this room.
It'll
It's going to
be
be
John's
black.
I don't want
It's gonna be
John's
black.
mold. Oh my God, gross. No, I don't
Holy
think I would
shit.
enjoy that. No.
Now, say if we get a dildo made out of my penis, we'd probably save money since it's only a couple inches. So they don't have to use as much material.
I don't know why you do that to yourself.
Because he's
It's
comfortable.
really amusing.
They would be like,
what they
excuse
do.
me, no females allowed. Oh, wait, there it is. I can
Like in
barely see
Click.
it.
Like in Click, we were watching Click last night.
Yeah.
That was funny.
It grew.
Okay, come
I
on
don't
now.
know why
Get
you
on
do
with
that.
it.
The whole idea is it's an assembly line, he explained. There's no foreplay. It's get it over with as fast as we can. Push all the right buttons, get them out of here in 2
Click.
minutes flat.
Literally Click.
That's efficiency right there.
It almost becomes habitual. By the time Joel arrived at Brockport, his desire for hookers would outweigh any academic aspirations.
It's like they just.
Aspirations.
Yeah.
It's like they just sit there and it's like, boink, 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 and the wieners go in.
Ew.
Okay, never mind.
Like whack-a-mole.
Ew, gross.
Like whack-a-mole.
Oh, gross. You know that I am at least buzzed if I'm comfortable talking about this topic.
Okay, so he does move in with a serious girlfriend at 19 years
He
old.
gets a girlfriend?
Yeah, but for like a month, he's still
That's
picking.
not serious.
He's still picking up 2 or 3 prostitutes a night. His girlfriend
Cash.
doesn't know,
Oh, God.
and
Well,
eventually,
that poor woman probably has so many STDs now.
he eventually get. What'd you say?
I said that poor woman probably has a bunch of STDs now if he's getting 3 to 4 hookers a night.
Well, that moves on to our next segment. Joel gets herpes.
Good guess, Jen. The girl, this girl had advanced HIV. She would shoot up and pass out, he added. She's in this girl's bathroom for like hours. As she chatted and smoked with her friend for what seemed like eternity, totally oblivious of her client, Joel became more and more upset.
That goes back to the conning. This girl would go to the friend's house. Joel would give her more money, $150 here for some crack. They would go to another friend's house. She would get more and more high. And at the end of the day, she wouldn't, have sex with him. So he was always conned by these women. So, I mean, it's obvious why he would kill him in the end. Not obvious, but I mean,
He was mad at them.
he was basically mad at him, yeah. So his first kill was a girl named Susie. This is so fucked up. So his mother was out of town. She was in Colorado with a business trip.
Party!
And he goes to the strip, the red light district in New York or whatever, and he brings Susie back to his childhood home, because his mother's not there. She wanted more and more drugs, all this stuff. She was addicted. They were, she was getting all this, she was getting all high and stuff like that. And they actually did have sex, and he was about to drive her back, and it was going to be a normal night. Now, this is his first kill, so they didn't even get out the door. Instead, so he was actually looking for his car keys, which sucks because I always lose my shit. And I get really mad when I lose my shit, my car keys.
Did you get a tile?
You lose your shit when you lose your shit.
Yes. I decided not to find my keys, he recalled blandly. I found this thing, hit her with it, and that was the first time. The thing was a howitzer shell he had recently bought at a military flea market.
It's like a big-ass fucking rocket shell.
It weighed about 10 or 12 pounds, and Joel estimated it was 18
Christ.
inches long and 6 to 8 inches in diameter. I was hitting her two-handed like a baseball bat, he said, sideways
like,
from up from the top, all different ways. I just lost control. I stopped when I got tired. Only after he was finished and sure she was dead, did he begin to panic. I did remember running around, trying to turn up the TV volume, pulling the shades down, he said jokingly, as if recalling some spirited college hijinks. I remembered the cops coming right to the doorway. I was thinking, they can read minds. They know what happened. To his horror, Susie suddenly popped up on the couch in a last-ditch effort to salvage her life.
All right, so before we go any further, I just checked Facebook, and Steve, I'm going to shout him out. He said Joel the Ripper.
Steve!
You're lucky, though, man, because I was already logged into Facebook.
Didn't Abby comment on it, too? I think she guessed it.
I don't know, but that was just what popped up, so you're lucky you got that in. So there's your shout out.
I think Abby guessed it, too.
So what I was typing in is a howitzer shell. This is a howitzer shell. My dad used to have one in the... Holy shit. That's what he killed her with.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. It's kind of comical.
Holy shit.
I mean, it's not.
Holy fuck.
Like, what?
I feel
look
I
at this thing that I got. Damn.
That's huge.
I could see John
gosh,
like
that's
mounting
terrible.
that. In this room.
Look, it shoots out of this fucking thing.
Wow.
So he
cool.
killed this prostitute with this fucking big ass shell.
Look, that's a good one that shows the size
fucking
based on the
Christ.
person.
Holy tits.
Oh my God. Could you imagine taking that thing?
Yeah, no shit. Listen to me, guys. This is the first kill. You're seeing on the screen a howitzer shell. But she gets beaten to death with this howitzer shell. Now, remember, before this, she was going to house to house to house to get high on crack. So
Crack is whack.
once you're on crack and probably whatever the hell else she was smoking and snorting, she was so high. No, this is fucking nuts. She's dead. Okay. But all of a sudden, Joel's like, oh, geez, thank God that was aggressive. Holy fuck. There's blood everywhere. All of a sudden, she jumps up, and the book says, like an undead zombie that was on crack. Quote, she bit my finger almost to the bone.
Oh. No.
She is being...
Oh, no, not the carrot statistic. I hate that. No.
Well, all right, so as Nicole read, she was hit with this big-ass shell. Now, I'll put a picture of a howitzer shell on talkmurder.com. But she's basically beat to death with this shell. So she is like nothing but a pulp of everything. You can't even see like her features anymore. And she jumps up literally like a cracked-out undead zombie, and she starts attacking him. The first kill ever. This is how fucking outrageous this is, right? She bit my finger almost to the bone. He finally gets the upper hand and pushes her to the wall and strangles her. That is fucking aggressive. Now that she's finally dead, or at least he hopes so, he brings her down to the basement. Now, his mom's in Colorado, so he ain't got to worry about her coming home, but he decides to go to sleep for 2 hours. And this is where his biology class comes into play.
It was just a straight dissection, done as fast as you can. Eventually, I went with the idea of a scalpel, which I imitated with an X-Acto knife, and I made very small, controlled cuts over the joints and popped the bones out of the sockets. No. As a kid, you learn how to carve turkey. You just go to the bone on the wing and the bone on the leg. You can cut the bone with a knife, and it pops off.
Yeah, like
a
knuckle. The knuckle.
Yeah,
oh,
the
no.
knuckle.
Oh, gross. Oh. This is why I'm not the turkey carver. Actually, I did carve the turkey on Thanksgiving, but I only carved the breast, so I didn't really have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a torso, but the head is also attached, and you want to get rid of that too. But like, where are you going to put the head? It doesn't wrap anything. Oh shit! Look over there.
Where?
I bet that empty paint can would house this neck or house this head pretty good. The head actually fit right in the paint can.
How?
A small head.
Small head.
Do you think my head would fit in a paint can?
Fuck no.
No, I don't think mine would either.
No, my
You need a
ego's too
paint
big.
bucket. Paint
I'm
pool.
so smart, so my head is so big.
Okay, listen. He actually he cut the head off, put the head in an empty paint can. He pulled out the teeth with pliers.
Ah!
He gets these big garbage bags, these industrial garbage bags, and he puts it in the back of his truck. And with the head in the paint can, he drops the head off in Jersey. Now, this is crazy.
Everything is legal in New Jersey.
This is crazy because he threw it
Except pumping your own gas.
like in a golf course, like the rough area of a golf course, like in the woods. And there was a big storm that year, and the head actually rolled onto the golf course.
Heads will roll.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna get back
they
into
found the
golf
head
this year.
first before they found anything else. He actually dumped the arms and torso in the East River in Lower Manhattan, which I'm never going up to New York in those rivers, man. He dumped all his bodies up in there. Now, 7 days later, golfers found the head at Hopewell Golf Course in New Jersey, and there was a huge investigation. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. We're going to talk about his psychology a little bit. You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
There was a 1972 Hitchcock movie called Frenzy. Now, he was obsessed with the woman in that movie getting strangled. You guys ever seen that movie?
No.
This is basically his psychology. He was socially awkward. He was a virgin. He could never finish a project.
Stop talking about me.
He made mediocre grades. He was at community college where his father at the time was getting better and better and better job positions, and he was basically failing out of fucking community college, which, you know, I went to a real University of Phoenix online, which actually Lil Wayne went to that university, so fuck you guys.
So I get out of Brockport and I'm a freshman flat out, said Joel. I'm only 19 and everyone else is 18. And that started causing its own problems. By that time, I was having problems with depression. But it did not take long for the bottom to fall out. I was basically seriously depressed at that time, he recalls. Antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication probably would have helped me out in the world, but it wasn't around 20 years ago. The apartment looked like a tornado, and she got tired of living that way. I was sleeping all the time and just not functioning.
All right, you guys understand the psychology. Let's get on some murders. Julie Blackbird was actually really nice to him, okay? She was a prostitute as well, but he actually got his father's class ring stolen at the mother's house. This is after the father died, and it was at a crack house. She actually goes in the crack house and steals the ring back. Now, she comes back, and she was actually a good person for him, okay? He told her that he would repay her by going to the ATM and pulling out $150. He goes there, and his bank declines his transaction because inefficient funds. So here's a little thing about Joel I'm telling you about. He was, at the time, working these odd jobs. He was a landscaper. At one point, I'm going to probably get to it if I'm not too drunk, he worked in a camera store. Either way, he was making money, but he was spending it right when he gets his paycheck, kind of like I do.
Same.
All right? Yeah. So by the next Monday, he was asking for gas money. Anyway, he goes to the ATM, insufficient funds. They go back for 2 hours at the mother's home where she's out of town. They wait until the bank actually opens so he can go dispute it. But then he decides to kill her for no good reason.
And this time, it was a much heavier object I used because the howitzer shell no longer existed, he said. It was a table leg or something, or a sawed-off bat. We had these table legs. For a period, my mom was redoing furniture, so we'd keep old scrap wood. I had fantasized about it and dismissed it all night, he continued. I was in control of myself. Then we go back to the house after the ATM machine, and we sit around the house for 2 more hours. So the whole thing started all over again. And this time I couldn't control it. I had gotten a second shot at it. If the money had come out of that machine, we would have been on the parkway and we would have gone to the city and she would have lived. I'm 99% sure of that.
So he brings Julie back down to the basement. Now, she's dead now. He goes to Home Depot, which I fucking love Home Depot. Way better than Lowe's. Quote, I went to Home Depot, bought a mortar pan, quick cement, X-Acto knife, and quick cement. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Quick cement, X-Acto knife, and did what I did with the first one, he said, except this time the packages were placed in cement. Okay. So basically, he puts the body, encases it in cement in these jugs. Now, his mom's not coming back for 2 days, so he's fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except it takes 2 days for the cement to actually dry. So the prostitute is in the basement drying in cement because it takes a while, okay, for 2 days. And he didn't realize it took that long. This is just Joel's fucked up life. Okay.
For him.
As soon as the mom came home, literally an hour before she got home, it was like real quick. The buckets dried and he was able to deposit the bodies.
So what would have happened if the cement wasn't 100% dry and then he just dumped him in the river? Would it just dissipate?
Yeah, I think so. Quote, I was too paranoid to hang out anymore. In her case, there was 3 packages. I put the 2 arms in one bucket and the 2 legs in a pan and the head in another bucket. The torso, I couldn't do that with. So that was wrapped in a milk crate, and I think that ended up in the Hudson River.
So how many people did he kill total?
17.
Whoa.
But let me tell you a little bit about this. Let me finish this a little bit. Okay. He actually takes the cement to the Hudson River. But before that, he stops to pick up more prostitutes.
He has an addiction.
With the cement in the passenger seat.
Wow.
Can you go ahead and move that severed arm back here, please?
Well, at least they didn't know what it was.
But he said he decided against it. He was actually talking to one of the prostitutes, working out a deal, $25 for a blowjob, and he was like, you know what? I got stuff to do. Basically, I got to dump this other prostitute in the Hudson River. Fucking nuts. All right, the third victim was Barbara Jacobs, July 1991. Now, this was 4 months after the second. So from the first murder to the second murder was 18 months. Then you got 4 months, and then we do the escalation theory. It becomes like every other week or
and
so.
he gets caught from his freaking license plate.
Now, potentially, Joel has HIV.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had unprotected sex. He was having... Now, he fancied himself as an oral kind of guy, and he was afraid of getting HIV, but he thought he never could get it because he never had anal sex. That's kind of how smart he is.
But he is intelligent.
If you want to read this.
Once he picked up Oravito, things progressed quickly. We went to a schoolyard, parked along a fence, and I choked her in the middle of the oral sex act. Upon rifling through her belongings, Joel was nonplussed to discover that the woman he had killed had HIV. She had a big brown pharmacy bag of AZT. He said, that was one of the things I kept as a souvenir.
AZT break.
Let me get into the souvenir thing right quick by talking about the MO, just really quick. I know we're running out of time. But he started keeping souvenirs because he imitated both Ted Bundy and Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. And literally, he was going by their blueprint. It says, quote, I think I imitated what I read because a lot of what I told the psychiatrist is almost lifted page by page from the Green River Killer book, said Joel. He buried one. The Green River Killer buried one. I buried one. He went from water to land. I went from water to land. He placed one by an airport. I placed one by an airport. He did things in clusters. I did things in clusters. So they were kind of like his idols. He also imitated Ted Bundy. But one thing that he did not do, AKA he did do, but like a lot of killers he didn't want to admit, is have sex with the bodies post-mortem. And a lot of the research that has been done on this case suggests that he did have post-mortem sex with the bodies, although he has never admitted it. Okay, but he most likely did. But he's very fervent about not doing it. So he would usually drive the prostitute, which was dead, in the front seat of his truck, usually. And he would actually go through a, quote, logic phase, which to us, we would just call it a lack of logic phase, if you will. Quote, I didn't necessarily associate it with being a body, he said. With one of the later girls, I even stopped at a gas station with her in the front seat. She's dead, naked in the front seat. Okay.
Do people just not notice what's going on in this dude's car?
I don't know. He got out, prepaid, and pumped the gas. Other times I am on the Long Island Expressway with trucks that have a high cab. Nothing was cranking logically, I guess.
See, I mean, for me, I'm not going to lie. Like, when I'm at a stoplight or even when I'm passing someone, I always take a peek at who's driving next to me. I always kind of try to guess, like, what kind of person drives the car. Because for me, a car matches a person's personality.
Now, it's hard for us to know the exact dates of murders because he's so bad with the chronological dates of his own life.
He's dyslexic also.
Yeah. Like, he did not even know when his father died. I mean, it's impossible to know the exact dates. Now, he was a complete psychopath. So psychopath is having no empathy for anyone but yourself. And that was proven.
sociopath.
That was proven by multiple psychiatrists that he was a psychopath, and he scored very high on the MMPI, which is the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. One of the an FBI behavioral scientist says, quote, "I believe that Joel's actions were more about control than emotion. He was able to perpetrate the act of killing with no emotion whatsoever. There was no rage, no elation, no intoxication during or after the act. All of his actions fed into his fetish for sexual sadism," which I don't believe he was a sadist. But the moment of the victim's capture is what got him excited. His actions were about the supreme power he felt over his own life and the destiny of his victims. He didn't love or hate them. It didn't matter if they were nice to him or not prior to the killing. That had no determination in the end result. There was one girl that he did kill that was actually not a prostitute. Her name was Leah Evans. Now, this was actually a big case. This was shortly before Thanksgiving 1992. And I want to point out 1992 was what he called his, quote, bloody year. Ooh. She was not a prostitute. She actually got mugged earlier and needed some cash. So she decided to, hook for some money.
Oh, no.
She was strangled, buried in a nature park around Long Island. Now, this is kind of fucked up because they got this park and there's all these critters and nature and like good flowers and shit.
I mean, to clarify, the whole story is fucked up, but go on.
Yeah, so these Asian nature walkers, and I'm picturing in my mind, they have like selfie sticks and fanny packs. You know how Asians are. They're trekking through this nature path.
I mean, I don't think there was selfie sticks in 1992.
They're trekking through this nature path, and all of a sudden they see a hand sticking out of the earth. Now, this is the only body that he's actually buried, and it was a very shallow grave. It was a very shallow grave. The only feature of her that was sticking out was her fingers. They were painted red, her fingernails, and they were sticking out the grave almost like they were reaching. And I can just imagine these Asians getting all scared because it looked like she was reaching out of the earth. He basically followed Ted Bundy and the Green River Killer as far as how to kill people. And in fact, that's the reason he kept souvenirs. And in fact, you read earlier, I guess you guys didn't really understand, but he actually kept the ACT as a souvenir, the AIDS medication as a souvenir, which is fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
Who the fuck would do that?
Well, someone that also may need AZT.
Yeah, obviously going back.
Oh, look, I don't have to pay for this medication. Like, I might as well just take the one that was on.
Going back to the first, where we started, he got captured. Mm-hmm. He eventually, when he got captured, they had about 9 hours of him confessing to all 17. Without an attorney or whatever. Huh. Later, he would say that he requested an attorney numerous times, but they didn't allow him to have one.
Hopefully that wasn't.
That really didn't stand in court, right. But he actually tried to outsmart all the judge and the jurors, and he fired a lot of his lawyers trying to be like a Ted Bundy. He was basically doing everything Ted Bundy did and trying to control the courtroom. None of it worked. He confessed to 17 murders. The first trial, he got sentenced to life. Now, those 17 murders were under 9 jurisdictions. A 3-week trial for the body that was in the truck ended on May 9th, 1994, and he was guilty of that murder. And eventually, he would get 203 years to life in prison.
Good.
So that's basically...
Is he still alive today?
Yeah, he's still alive today. He still does interviews and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. I wonder if he'd reach out to us.
I don't know, maybe.
No, thank you.
It's interesting. He actually got convicted for murder for a prostitute that they never even identified. I think it was the first in history that he confessed to killing a Jane Doe, and they actually couldn't identify her, and he still got convicted of her murder. I think that's like the first in history. But that's basically the Joel Rifkin story. It's he's kind of a shithead. Definitely does not know how to be a serial murderer. He's a psychopath through and through, even though he claims he's not. I mean, he's definitely a psychopath. But that's basically it. I mean, you can't really point to anything in his childhood that caused this at all, besides the bullying. But, I mean, a lot of kids are bullied and they don't turn out like this. So I don't know. I hope you guys like that story.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Thank you for that request, Brittany.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brittany.
Yes, thanks, Brittany.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcasting app you use. If you like this story, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're absolutely obsessed with this podcast and want to become our ass man, go to talkmurder.com/join. Become a Taco Supremo. Get a badass t-shirt, stickers, swag, a lot of love. Shout it out all over the place. Tell me what story you want me to do. I'll research it, dedicate it to you on Talk Murder Podcast. My name is John, here with Jen and Nicole. Until next time.
Someone whose heart is so dark it cannot be swayed by pity, emotion, or human compassion of any kind. Hello, Newman.
I'm fucking already buzzed. Can you pour me some more of your Dryzen? Oh, you should do a mold of my butthole.
I know.
No, thank you.
In my defense, because my car is full of so much crap, no one's going to want to take anything from it. They're going to be like, who the fuck keeps all this crap in their car? And why is it like this? And I'll say, oh, see, there's nothing really worth stealing in here because you can't find anything.
What about all them dead cats in there?
I don't have any dead cats, sir. Oh my gosh, I don't like being so old. I can't turn my head to the side.
I know, mine's still hurting.
Like, I don't think I could safely maneuver a vehicle.
I can turn my head just fine. Look at me, Jen. Look at me turn my head just like this.
We're so jealous.
Look what I can do, Jen. Oh, shit.